Every day, you use the internet without thinking about it. You search on Google, you watch YouTube, you scroll social media, you order something online, you check your bank balance, you open your email. It all feels like one internet, one giant public place where everything is visible, searchable, and only a few clicks away. But here is a simple question. Your bank account is online. Your emails are online. Your medical records may be online. Your company files may be online. So why can you not search for them on Google? Why can you not type someone's name into a search engine and see their private messages, salary records, passwords, or hospital documents? Because not everything online is meant to be public. The part of the internet we can easily search through Google, YouTube, Instagram, Amazon, and normal browsers is commonly called the surface web. In the popular internet iceberg model, the surface web is often estimated at around 4%. That is the part we know. The visible part, the searchable part, the part where public websites compete for clicks, attention, and rankings. But if the surface web is only around 4%, then where is the rest? The remaining roughly 96% is commonly described as deep web and the dark web. The deep web is not a mysterious criminal underground. It is simply the part of the internet that search engines cannot normally index because access is private, restricted, protected, or generated only for a specific user. Your inbox is part of the deep web. Your online bank account is part of the deep web. Your cloud storage, hospital portal, company dashboard, university system, payroll records, private messages, subscription accounts, and government portals are all part of the deep web. The deep web exists because private information should remain private, and this is where many people get confused. The dark web is not the entire remaining 96%. It is not another equal layer sitting below the deep web. It is a very small, intentionally hidden subset inside that wider private internet. Some estimates place the dark web at less than 1/100th of 1% of the web. The exact number cannot be measured perfectly because hidden services are designed to be difficult to count, discover, and map. But the difference is simple. The surface web is public. The deep web is private. The dark web is deliberately hidden. And the iceberg image is only a visual model. It does not mean you travel downward through a series of secret internet floors. There are no established layers below the dark web called Mariana Web, Fog Web, Primark System, or any other dramatic name repeated in online myths. The internet is not a dungeon with deeper levels. It is made of servers, databases, private networks, public websites, and systems with different access rules. Some of the most sensitive information in the world may not be on any mysterious, deeper web at all. It may be stored on a private corporate network, a government intranet, or a device not connected to the public internet. But the dark web is real. And unlike your private email account or banking portal, it is designed to make services harder to discover and harder to trace through ordinary browsing. That does not make every service there illegal, but it does create a space where privacy can protect the vulnerable and conceal the dangerous. To understand why, we need to begin with the technology that made hidden services possible. Tor. Tor stands for the onion router. The name comes from the way it protects a connection in layers. At a high level, Tor routes internet traffic through multiple relays instead of sending it directly from one person to one destination. Each relay handles only part of the journey. One point may know where the traffic came from. Another may know where it goes next. But the system is designed so that no single relay is meant to see the complete path at the same time. Think of it less as invisibility and more as separation. Tor was not created to build criminal marketplaces. Its purpose was to make surveillance and censorship more difficult. For journalists, that can matter. For whistleblowers, that can matter. For researchers, human rights workers, and people living under censorship, that can matter. A journalist may need to communicate with a confidential source. A whistleblower may need to share evidence without instantly exposing their identity. A person living under an oppressive government may need access to information that would otherwise be blocked. News organizations can use systems such as Secure Drop to receive documents from anonymous sources. The same anonymity that can hide a criminal can also protect someone telling the truth at great personal risk. That is the contradiction at the center of this story. Privacy is not a crime. Encryption is not a crime. Using Tor is not automatically illegal. But Tor is not magic. It does not provide perfect anonymity. It cannot erase a person's mistakes. It cannot fix a compromised device. It cannot undo a reused account, a careless message, a revealing payment, or evidence gathered elsewhere. Tor can make surveillance harder. It can reduce what one observer can see, but it cannot make anyone untouchable. And eventually, people with a very different goal saw an opportunity. They were not looking for privacy to speak. They were looking for privacy to sell. They realized that anonymous networks could be combined with something the public internet had already perfected: online shopping, listings, ratings, reviews, payments, reputation. A system that made strangers feel safe enough to trade. And once that system entered the hidden internet, cybercrime stopped looking like a secret meeting in a parking lot. It started looking like e-commerce. Illegal trade existed long before the internet, but traditional criminal markets had limits. A seller needed buyers nearby. A buyer needed to trust a seller. Both sides risked robbery, exposure, or arrest. The marketplace model changed that. Silk Road became one of the earliest major examples of hidden online commerce, built around anonymity and reputation. It did not invent crime. It demonstrated that crime could be organized like an online business. A seller could create a listing. A buyer could compare options. Users could leave ratings. A marketplace could create trust between people who had never met. The operator did not need to sell every illegal item personally. The operator could build the platform, collect commissions, and let thousands of users conduct their own trade. That model spread. Over time, hidden marketplaces became connected not only to illegal drugs, but also stolen financial data, false identity documents, compromised accounts, malware-related services, fraud tools, and other criminal products. The underground economy became specialized. One actor could steal data, another could sell it, a third could buy access, a fourth could use it for fraud, and a fifth could turn that access into extortion. The marketplace became the meeting point. But every marketplace has a weakness. It needs staff. It needs infrastructure. It needs payments. It needs customer support. It needs reputation. And every one of those things can leave evidence. The larger a marketplace becomes, the harder it becomes to keep the entire operation invisible. That was the lesson of AlphaBay. AlphaBay launched in late 2014. Within a few years, it became what U.S. authorities described as the largest darknet marketplace of its time. According to publicly available information cited by U.S. authorities, AlphaBay had more than 200,000 users and more than 40,000 vendors. Authorities said it hosted listings connected to illegal drugs, toxic chemicals, stolen identities, counterfeit goods, malware, hacking-related tools, firearms, and fraudulent services. AlphaBay was not simply a hidden website. It was a criminal business platform. Buyers could browse, sellers could advertise, users could leave ratings, the operators collected commissions. Across borders, people who had never met could trade with each other behind layers of anonymity. For its users, this created an illusion. They believed the platform was too hidden, too international, and too anonymous to be reached. But global investigations do not always begin by breaking one piece of technology. Sometimes they begin by studying people, their infrastructure, their relationships, their financial activity, their communication, their routines, and their mistakes. In June 2017, Dutch police quietly took control of Hansa Market, another hidden marketplace. They did not immediately announce it. They waited. Then, on July 4, 2017, AlphaBay was seized in an international operation involving the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI, the Drug Enforcement Administration, Europol, and partner agencies across several countries. For AlphaBay users, the shutdown was chaos. Their marketplace was suddenly gone. No warning, no explanation, just a seizure notice. Some thought it was an exit scam. Some feared arrests. Others looked for the fastest replacement. And that is exactly what investigators expected. Many users moved toward Hansa. They did not know Hansa was already under Dutch police control. This was Operation Bayonet. Law enforcement did not only remove AlphaBay from the internet, it anticipated where the users would go next. The takedown created panic. The panic created migration. And the migration created intelligence. According to Europol, Hansa saw a major increase in new users after AlphaBay went down. People who believed they were moving to another hidden marketplace were walking into a platform already being monitored by law enforcement. The story had one powerful lesson. Anonymity can delay an investigation. It can make evidence harder to collect. It can force police and prosecutors to work across borders. But it does not guarantee permanent safety. U.S. authorities identified Alexandre Casas as the alleged AlphaBay administrator. He was arrested in Thailand in July 2017. AlphaBay's fall was a major moment, but the criminal demand behind it did not vanish. Buyers still wanted goods and services. Fraud actors still wanted stolen information. Vendors still wanted customers. And new platforms were ready to replace what AlphaBay had lost. Hydra Market became the next proof that shutting down one marketplace does not end the marketplace economy. In April 2022, U.S. and German authorities announced the seizure of Hydra, which the U.S. Department of Justice described as the world's largest and longest-running darknet market at that time. Hydra operated mainly in Russian-speaking countries. Authorities said it enabled the sale of illegal drugs, stolen financial information, fraudulent identity documents, hacking-related services, and money laundering services. According to the Justice Department, Hydra had received approximately $5.2 billion in cryptocurrency since 2015. Officials estimated that in 2021, it accounted for around 80% of darknet market-related cryptocurrency transactions. Not all cryptocurrency, not all cybercrime, darknet market-related transactions. That distinction matters because cryptocurrency is not automatically anonymous, and it is not automatically untraceable. Hydra's seizure included servers and cryptocurrency wallets containing approximately $25 million in Bitcoin. Investigators can follow evidence. They can connect platforms, wallets, infrastructure, and people. But the work becomes harder when criminal systems operate across borders, hide behind layers of infrastructure, and move money through tools built to make tracing more difficult. Hydra also showed how the underground economy was changing. These were no longer just marketplaces selling products. They were service ecosystems, a place to sell data, a place to buy false documents, a place to find access, a place to move money, a place where different criminal specialties could work together. And in the years after Hydra, the model became even more fragmented. Smaller platforms focused on specific services, stolen accounts, fraud, compromised systems, malware services, and criminal infrastructure. The biggest product was no longer always a physical item, it was access. A stolen password can look small. A browser cookie can sound harmless. A saved login session may seem like a technical detail. But in the underground economy, these pieces can become a map of someone's life. Their email, their social media, their financial accounts, their cloud storage, their workplace access, their private files, their identity. Europol's cybercrime assessments describe stolen data as a central commodity in the cybercrime economy. It is stolen, bought, sold, reused, combined with other data, and passed between different criminal actors. This creates a supply chain. One group steals information, another group sells it, another buys access, another commits fraud, another uses it to enter an organization, and another may use that access for ransomware or extortion. Genesis Market became one of the clearest examples of this evolution. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Genesis offered data linked to more than 1.5 million compromised computers and more than 80 million account credentials. It offered more than usernames and passwords. It also included browser cookies and device fingerprints, data that could help a criminal imitate a real user's online environment. Genesis was not important because it sold physical contraband. It was important because it sold identity. And identity can be turned into opportunity. A compromised account can become financial fraud. A fraudulent message can become a convincing request to a colleague. A stolen login can become access to a company network. And corporate access can become ransomware. CISA defines ransomware as malware, designed to encrypt files and make systems unusable. Attackers demand payment in exchange for restoring access. But ransomware has evolved. Many groups now steal data before encrypting systems. They then threaten to publish the stolen information if the victim does not pay. This is called double extortion. The victim faces two crises at once. First, they may lose access to the systems they need. Then, they may face the exposure of their most sensitive information. For an individual, that can mean stolen money, locked accounts, impersonation, and months or years of trying to repair the damage. For a small business, it can mean lost revenue, frightened customers, legal obligations, and a damaged reputation. For a hospital, a school, or a public service, the impact can reach beyond money. When systems go down, real services can be delayed. There is another reason this economy is so difficult to stop. Victims are often re-victimized. A data breach is not always one event with one ending. A leaked email address may become a phishing target. A stolen identity document may be used in fraud. A compromised account may be sold again after its first buyer is finished with it. The same information can circle through different sellers, different forums, and different schemes. That means the real victim is not only the company named in a breach headline. It can be an employee whose private details were exposed, a customer whose account is targeted months later, or a family member who receives a believable message from someone pretending to be trusted. The hidden economy works because it breaks crime into roles. The person who steals data may never speak to the person who steals money. The person who rents access may never know the final victim. Each actor sees only one task, but the victim experiences the entire chain at once. And that is what makes the dark web story human. Behind every database, wallet, and marketplace listing, there are people dealing with stress, fear, loss of privacy, and the exhausting work of trying to regain control of their digital lives. The dark web may feel far away, but its consequences are not. A password stolen in one country can be sold in another, reused by a third actor, and used against an ordinary person who has never visited a hidden service and has never heard the name Tor. And the criminal economy does not stay inside the dark web. It moves wherever privacy, speed, trust, and profit can be found. The dark web is not a separate criminal planet beneath the internet. It is one part of a much wider underground economy. A hidden forum can advertise stolen data. An encrypted messaging app can negotiate a sale. A social media platform can be used to reach victims. A clear web service can host part of a fraud operation. A cryptocurrency wallet can move value across borders. And a dark web marketplace can connect people who may never meet. Europol's 2026 assessment warns that the distinction between surface web and hidden communication channels is becoming increasingly blurred. Dark web marketplaces and forums are becoming more fragmented and specialized. When one platform is taken down, users migrate. Forums act as meeting points. New services emerge rapidly. This is why the fight against cybercrime cannot focus on one website. It has to follow the people, the money, the infrastructure, and the networks around it. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime estimated that darknet market sales, mostly drug-related, recovered to around $2.5 billion by 2025. That is not the total value of all dark web crime. It does not count every fraud scheme, every ransomware payment, every stolen credential, or every underground data broker. It is only one visible measurement of a much wider economy. UNODC also noted that retail drug purchases are increasingly moving towards social media, while darknet markets remain important for higher value and wholesale transactions. The market is adapting. It moves where customers move. It moves where communications are private. It moves where payments are easier. It moves where accountability is weakest. And now, automation and artificial intelligence may make that movement faster. Europol has warned that AI can help criminals scale and personalize deceptive communication. The threat is not that technology turns every crime into science fiction. It is that old crimes, fraud, impersonation, extortion, and stolen data abuse can become faster, cheaper, and more convincing. There is also a contradiction at the center of every enforcement operation. When authorities seize a marketplace, they disrupt harm immediately. But the seizure can also trigger a scramble. Users rush to new forums. Vendors search for replacement sites. Administrators launch smaller services and promise better security. That is why success cannot be measured only by how many sites disappear. It also depends on how much intelligence is collected, how many victims are protected, how many operators are identified, and whether the next wave of criminal activity is disrupted before it grows. The internet moves quickly. Investigations often move through laws, borders, evidence rules, and courts. Closing that gap is one of the hardest problems in modern cybercrime enforcement. So how do investigators respond? They do not simply chase pages, they chase ecosystems. Operation Raptor showed what that looks like. Announced in May 2025, Operation Raptor led to 270 arrests across 10 countries. Authorities reported more than $200 million in currency and digital assets seized, more than 2 metric tons of drugs, and more than 180 firearms. The operation used intelligence connected to earlier marketplace seizures, including Nemesis, Tor2Door, Bohemia, and Kingdom markets. This is the deeper lesson of every major takedown. A seizure notice is not the end of the story. It can be the beginning of the next investigation. A seized server can expose a relationship. A wallet can reveal a financial trail. A forum can reveal where users went next. A hidden administrator can make one mistake that leads back to a real identity. The dark web makes investigation difficult. It does not make investigation impossible. And that distinction matters, because the answer to cybercrime is not to treat every private person as suspicious. It is not to destroy privacy for journalists, whistleblowers, or people facing censorship. The answer is better security, stronger victim support, faster information sharing, and international investigations that understand how criminal networks adapt. The surface web is public. The deep web is private. The dark web is intentionally hidden. But the harm caused by its misuse is not hidden at all. It reaches bank accounts, families, businesses, hospitals, governments, and ordinary people who may never realize their information was traded until the damage has already begun. The dark web itself is not the crime. The crime begins when privacy tools, stolen access, anonymous payments, and organized criminal networks are assembled into a machine for profit. What is hidden is not always unreachable, and anonymity is never the same as immunity. This is CyberCasebook,